everybody, I'm back answering more questions. I got another question on YouTube, and this time it was about their Bengal stud cat. Now, the video that they were commenting on was me showing everybody my outside pens, and they were saying that they had a similar arrangement for their Bengal stud cat, but that he's being very naughty. He sprays on things, which is fine, but he meows and meows all night long. He's crying out quite loudly, and it is causing trouble with their neighbours. Now, this is an issue. And how can they, what can they do? It is an issue. If you've got problems, I'm very, very lucky here where I live. We're in a semi-rural area. We have only neighbours on two sides, and they do not care at all about the cats making noises because they're far away from them. If you are in a more suburban area and it is going to cause problems when you have a stud cat, there are a few things that you can do. First of all, the reason he's doing it because he has testicles. He's a stud cat. And he's a Bengal. He's like a Bengal, so he's got an extra dose of loudness to him. In a show hall, you can always tell when there's a Bengal there because you can hear him. If anybody's crying out when I go to a show, you can tell by the sound of the cry whether it's a Bengal or not. They have a very distinctive meow. It can be very aggressive, not aggressive as in, it's just very loud, very meow sort of noise, as an aggressive kind of sound. And it's just, even the happiest Bengal cats make the same noise. That noise all night long is going to be a problem if you live in a suburban area. So what can you do about it? Well, the thing that I think has worked for me the best, and I have got stud cats that meow, it just doesn't bother us at the moment. But in the past, when we have lived in suburbia, it was a problem. I had one boy that would yodel all night long, and he really was like a yodel. And it was annoying, and it was loud, and I was worried about neighbours. So we made him a sleepy cage. Now, I say cage, it was more like a sleepy box. He had a big, it was a previous travel crate for a dog. It was really big. Had a door on it, mesh door on it, and it had bedding in there, and he was all cozy. And he would go there. We would put him in there when we went to bed, and we would let him out first thing in the morning. And it got to the point where he was fine. He would be in there when we go to put him in there. He was already in there sleeping. That was his happy spot. We had another boy that we had that would sleep in a cage that was the next size up from a large show cage, if that makes sense to you. If you have show cages, the metal cages, he had the next size up from that. He would go in there he had a litter tray, he had water and food and bedding, and he would go in there every night, and then he would come out every morning. And that really helped as well. So again, we'd go out there to shut him in there, and he'd already be in there sleeping, so we just had to close the door. When they're in that smaller space, they don't vocalize as much. Not always, but hopefully they don't vocalize as much. You can also make sure that the space, the cage itself is kind of covered over. So even if it's covered over with blankets and things, not obviously fully covered, but you can cover the sides, you can make it enclosed, you can reduce the distance the noise travels, make sure that they're facing away from the fence, the fence line of your property. Just do everything you can to minimize the noise they're actually making. But by containing them at night time, that is more likely to reduce the amount of vocalization that they have. The cats can also go through periods of vocalization as well, and it can be, especially with a young stud cat and it's coming up to his first breeding season and all the girls around him are calling, and he can start going a bit crazy and going a bit really super loud. I have had a cat that just went through a period where he just would non-stop meowing, quite loud, really intense meowing. And for that period of time, I even took him and put him in a regular size cat carrier in the back room of our house, covered him with a folded up doona and just let the front be open, and he still would not stop. All night long it went for. I took him for a drive in the car. It still would not stop. And in the end, we did have to give him some antihistamines, and we used over-the-counter antihistamines for him. And he had them for about 4 days, and it just broke the habit, and he went back to being his normal self. He did still cry out at night, and he was the one that had the big sleepy cage with everything in it. And he used to go into that sleepy cage with his brother as well. So both cats went in there. It was big enough for both of them. And they would stay in there at night and then come out during the day. So he had a massive pen during the day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you need to keep your stud cats in small spaces. I just think for the purposes of getting them through the night, so that you don't get complaints from your neighbours, then they can go into the smaller space and then come out into the bigger space during the day. So that's a couple of ideas for you about that. But the news that I really need to tell you is you have Bengals, and a Bengal stud cat, of all the stud cats, Bengals, Siamese and Orientals, and maybe Burmese, they're loud. They're so loud. They have and Bengals in particular have a very particular cry that is very loud, yeah, it'd be difficult to listen to that all night if you're a neighbour. So good luck with that. Hopefully it all goes okay, but there's just some suggestions for you. If you want some more information about breeding cats, visit my website, www.catbreedingforbeginners.com, and if you go /links, then there is actually a links page which has some resources you can download, links to my podcast, links to some other videos, links to everything. So go in, have a visit, and you'll probably find something that'll be helpful. Okay, bye for now.